Chicago, and then we went to Raleigh, North Carolina, where I went for my master's degree at Duke University, while I was teaching at North Carolina State. So I commuted from Raleigh to Durham every day.
He got the job, and so then you went to...
Got the job, and I applied to the nearest decent school, which was Duke. I mean, I could have gotten a job at the college there, but there was no point to that. I'd rather do some good research, and I did. I published 2 papers.
Were you the first one to get a master's?
I was the first one to graduate from college in our family. In my expanded family, in the whole family, it was only after me that others graduated.
Your parents just went to high school?
Parents went to school in Europe. I don't know what level they reached. But I know my mother had this tutoring, so I know that she was well educated. And my father, I don't know what kind of education he had. We never talked about it. He was delighted to have me go on. So that's backtracking. When I went to Brooklyn College, we were so poor that I had 15 cents allowance a day. 10 cents, 5 cents for the bus going to school, 5 cents for the bus coming back, and 5 cents to buy a carton of milk. Always took my own lunch. And this was pretty standard at Brooklyn College. Nobody had any money there. I guess there were some people that didn't. They belonged to sororities, but I didn't know those very well, except the ones that were in my junior high school. It's backtracking. Okay. Chicago, and then Duke, which was very difficult to live in. Raleigh wasn't difficult to live in. There was a fair amount of blacks who were well off and accepted by the community. It wasn't as bad, but Duke was a factory town, cigarette factory town, and it was horrendous. The only place we could get kosher food was in the black section. Why there, I don't know, but that's where we could get kosher food, kosher meat. So I was in a lot of contact with the blacks there. Tried as we were, the students I was with at Duke were by and large from the Northeast, and we tried there was a black college in town, and we tried to set up some liaison with the science students there, and we were told we were told by the administration of Duke, if we continued with this discussion, we would be kicked out of graduate school.
We're trying to connect with
To connect with black college, with the students studying the same courses that we were, doing the same things we were. I don't know if they were doing research, but they were taking the same courses. I was accepted. Well, I had to take, something funny, I had to take physical biochemistry as a graduate student. And one of the prerequisites was calculus, which I'd never had in high school because after I flunked it, I didn't go on. So I told the faculty that living for 4 years with a mathematician was equivalent to a course in calculus. And they accepted that.
Wow.
I got away with a lot of stuff. Well, I thought that was, reasonable. And actually, he taught me all I needed to know for the course. I had no trouble with the course, with mathematics of the course, because he taught me the important things I needed to know. So that was okay. That was a good course. I got an A in it. I really enjoyed that course. We took a course that explained organic chemistry, which so many people have trouble with because they don't explain the mechanisms, the molecular mechanisms for all of these compounds. And if you don't, I couldn't. If I can't make some logic out of something, I can't just memorize it. So finally, I was able to get through well organic chemistry.
This is a master's in biochemistry or
Biochemistry.
It's your first master's?
It's my first. Did some research, interesting research on still, I think of the name, believe it or not, stilbestrol, but there's a beginning word before that. Ethyl stilbestrol, something like that. Which turned out later on, sweet, ethyl stilbestrol, that's it, was a compound that they were giving to pregnant women to help them through the first months when they threw up and stuff. And they found out later that these women were giving birth to girls who were malformed genitally, or something like that. Anyway, it was not an innocuous drug. And I worked on it for a good 5 months. How much I absorbed, I really don't know.
You think you got some of the drug in you by working?
Not really. Nobody used gloves. Nobody used gloves when they did any good.
And the drug, what it used in?
In girls only.
Huh.
Okay, that was Raleigh, where we had to get kosher meat by going to the slaughterhouse, making an appointment with the rabbi to supervise the cutting. You can't imagine what it was like in the slaughterhouse. I think I finally gave up trying to get kosher meat.
Were you Orthodox then?
I was still, well, my version of Orthodox. I gave up.
From Orthodox families.
We both came from Orthodox families. I finally gave up. And that was Raleigh and Duke in Durham. Then I got a job at Rutgers. So off we went to Rutgers. At that time, I was still working on my thesis, and I did the writing of it up at Rutgers, and then came down for a few weeks to study for my final exams. By that time, I was pregnant, so I did my thesis and my final exam, while pregnant.
Were you pregnant when you worked on that drug? It was just before?
Yeah, just before. I was no longer working. I was just doing the writing by the time I got pregnant. Because I didn't get pregnant until I got up to New York.
That's like mom having a baby.
That's a good time to work on your thesis. You sit at a desk. You're absorbed by other things, not yourself.